Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it is the end of January and I realized that I must be on like the Lunar New Year schedule because I haven't really considered any of my goals for the year and we're already almost done with the first month. And I realized I actually don't think I accomplished many of the goals I set for myself in 2022. So let's go over the old goals and see what new ones I have for this year. So I did do a video last year where I reacted to my 2021 goals and then set new goals. I'm gonna put a link to that video in this one if you're interested in checking it out. I actually recently watched it back in some of my other older videos and I don't know how you guys sat through such long content, so thank you if you ever watch all of those long videos from start to finish. But we're not gonna do such a long video this time, and I'm trying to shorten my long form content as it is, but I'm not gonna react to that video since I already watched it. But let's kind of read through my goals from last year and tick off what I actually accomplished. So a goal that I will probably always have is continue to be self-employed. I know I've mentioned this in the past since I've been working for myself full-time. I don't ever want to work for anybody else if I can help it. My next goal that I had in 2022 was find my artistic voice. I don't remember what I said about this goal and what my vision was for it. I think I just wanted to find a style or a method of working that worked for me, that I was pleased with, and this shouldn't be part of the goal, but looked good on social media. Oh, Clarice is very fussy and she wants to say hello. Say hello to the people. You don't want to be up here, do you? You have regrets. So I do feel like I at least started to find my artistic voice. I started to find a style that I was pleased with and was enjoyable to create with. And again, going into the next one, illustrate more. I forced this to be a thing by doing a postcard illustration club in my Patreon where I had to do a full illustration once a month. And it was really difficult because I didn't always want to do a full illustration, and I also didn't have very good time management to work on the elaborate ideas that I had, so sometimes I would have to kind of tamper down the ideas that I had. However, I did illustrate more, and I think forcing that is helping me get back into a rhythm where I am illustrating more, period. The first unfinished goal on the list was finish the Chonky sketchbook. I think I worked on it for like a month after I made that goal, and then I just set it down and didn't touch it again. Next one is keep up with content making. I'm really disappointed in myself for this one because I burned out super hard after 2021. All of the things that I was doing, and then to put a bunch of conventions on top of that, like I just got so burnt out on content making, and I'm still feeling that. I'm still trying to find ways to make it work for me. More on that later. Next one, use more traditional mediums. Aside from the sketching I did in the Chonky sketchbook, I didn't once again touch a single paint or marker or anything for art making. Finally, learn animation was the next goal. This has been on my to-do list for years, and outside of like little GIFs in Procreate, I once again have not done anything for it. Next, launch 4 Kickstarters. I did half of this goal. I launched 2 Kickstarters. The other 2 that I had in mind, one of them I don't know that I'm gonna go through with because I don't know that the demand is there. The other one I'm moving to this month, or this year, and more on that later. The next 2 goals are draw more comics and flesh out my webcomic more. I don't know that I touched comics at all. I actually do have a new project that I'm trying to make time for, hopefully this year, and if I don't get to it, I'm gonna be really sad, but I'm trying my best. Next, utilize more revenue streams. I don't think I worded that one correctly. I think I meant like open up more revenue streams, and I did. I will actually do a whole other video about this, but I opened up 3, 4-ish more revenue streams than I already had, and it made a huge difference in my profits for 2022. The last few are numbers based, and I know that I was putting them on there like hoping that it was going to be a very conservative goal, and it wasn't. They were have and keep 100 patrons, get to 10,000 followers on Instagram, 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, and more sales on my website than on Etsy. I didn't meet any of those goals. And I think a lot of the content creating hurt me in those areas. And the sales on my site versus Etsy, I had my Etsy closed from April to October. My site was closed some of that time, but I wasn't pushing it, so that was my own fault. And the last goal was kick ass and have fun, and I definitely did that, because even though I didn't meet a lot of the goals that I set for myself, I did exceed expectations that I had in other ways. So, and it was fun. So, that being said, let's move on to the goals that I have for this year. The fact that I haven't even started my bullet journal for 2023 is a little bit sad, and at this point I don't know if I want to go back and fill in January for the heck of it. So, this year I'm recycling a lot of my goals from last year, but I'm going to have less emphasis on the numbers stuff and just more so on the broad concept of these. So once again, like I said, stay self-employed is a very important goal for me. I'm getting nervous with the supposed oncoming recession that the United States is experiencing, and I already kind of feel the effects of that, and I know that some of the first things people are going to start cutting out of their budget is frivolous spending, like with artists. So I'm going to make some moves to try and pivot to be more recession-proof, but I don't know how successful I will be. So again, this is a big goal, so in year 3 it's going to be interesting to see how well I do. The second goal is keep up with content making. I think the biggest issue I had with this last year was I had so many conventions going on that I just couldn't put the focus on something that didn't seem necessary at the time. So I'm trying really hard to make schedules for myself, make content ideas and plans for myself, and get back into batch creating content, because that was really the biggest thing in 2021 that helped me on TikTok, was creating content in huge batches and just having something to post all the time. Next, launch 2 Kickstarters. This is going to go into the previous goal I had, the one Kickstarter that I've actually been thinking about for like 2 years. I have to get samples made and find a manufacturer, preferably in the opposite order. And the second Kickstarter I plan on making is actually a part 2 for my Tiny Pin Kickstarter. I have so many ideas, and the Tiny Pins have done really well, so I think I want to do another round. Another recurring goal is use more traditional mediums. I don't want to put as much pressure on this, and honestly, I think I want to use it more as like play and practice than actual art making. That's not right. I want to have that as more of a learn and play hobby, whereas if I'm going to be drawing digitally, it's usually going to be for content or merch making, which I really shouldn't just make art for content at all, but we'll tackle that someday when I can afford to tackle that. So I would love to pick up paints again. I really have been feeling the itch. Next is a new goal, which is keep my online shops open. This was really hard last year because I shut my Etsy down for the Etsy strike in April and just left it off. But it was hard to manage having 2 online shops while also doing conventions. And I actually, this is not sponsored, but I have actually purchased a monthly subscription with a company called Trunk. And they're really great because you can integrate your online shop and Etsy and a lot of other platforms to have all of your inventory counted at once. So it's the same across the board, and the only thing that'll be tricky is if I have a convention where I'm not counting or subtracting inventory until afterwards. Another new one to the to-do list this year, my goals, is to reorganize my inventory storage here in my studio. I know I've done like a whole overhaul of my studio space, and you can go back and watch that from 2021 when I redecorated my studio and made an inventory closet, but I have so much more inventory now of different things than I started with. And especially with Periwinkle plushes coming in, I need to reorganize and make it more usable. So that is a huge one that I need to do earlier than later. So this is something that I think will really help in like just keeping myself mentally prepared and not just like rush to do stuff. But I would love to have scheduled shop updates, like maybe quarterly shop updates where it's like, here's a handful of new products that I'm releasing. It's not just like leftover Patreon stuff, but stuff specifically for my main shops. This is kind of a new goal, but also kind of one that I set out for last year with the revenue streams. I would love to have some wholesale orders this year. And I don't think it has to necessarily be wholesale, but maybe consignment too. But just, I would love to get my products out into other places than just conventions or my online shops. I did this once in 2021. I believe a plant shop in Oregon purchased some of my plant pins, and I hope they did well. I never heard back from them after I sent off the order, but hopefully they did well. And I've had other people reach out to me about some of my items, but after responding to them, I never heard back. So I would love to get my stuff in some small shops. Something that I'm already kind of good at, but starting to fall behind again on, is be on top of / ahead of things. I was able to get way on top of stuff in December, and of course with back-to-back conventions and a lot of other stuff going on in early January, I've kind of fallen behind again. But just staying way on top of stuff so that I don't have to panic draw or anything like that when the time comes, like especially for Patreon, just having that stuff already done, already in production, already on hand when a new month rolls around is going to be amazing. And lastly, a better work-life balance. I didn't think this was going to make the list, but the more I reflected on the last year, the more I realized that all of my priorities and everything I talk about is business related. And I think I keep hitting burnout because of that. So usually I'm really good about when Ryan gets home in the evening from work or on the weekends, I don't work. And I will cook dinner or relax and play video games, or we watch TV. But I think I need to start saying, this is actually very shocking to me, but I need to start saying yes more to seeing friends and family on a whim rather than saying that I'm busy with work. So I think being on top of things is going to help tie into that, because then I won't be scrambling all the time. Yeah, it's actually a really short list this year. I do have some other miscellaneous goals here and there, like I want to do another out-of-state convention. I don't know that I mentioned it anywhere, but we did 10 conventions in 2022. 12 if you count the 2 BizBaz online events that I did. But 10 in-person events in 12 months is a lot. It doesn't feel like a lot, but a lot of those were back-to-back, and they were very tiresome. So I would like to do maybe 10 or less this year, but I'm trying to not schedule them to be back-to-back, because that's really hard on Ryan, especially when he doesn't have time to recharge before going into a new work week. So that's all I have for today. I don't have any more events coming up until March, so it's going to be Studio Vlog Central on the channel, but I also am going to be getting back into tip and educational content making. So if you guys have any suggestions for content you'd like to see, whether it be artist alley tips or making displays or storage or online shops, anything, just leave me a comment below, because I would love to see all of your suggestions and pick and choose from them, and maybe revamp some of the educational content I already have, because I seem to have new ways of doing things. So anyway, I hope you guys have had a wonderful beginning to your year, and I can't wait to see you guys back on my channel. Bye! Wish you the best and say goodbye. You start to get dressed and then we cry, 'cause we both know it's gonna hurt, but not as much as